I am surrounded by freaks. And no, I don't mean my fellow fratelli. I'm talking about real freaks. Ulysse Nardin Freaks. Freaks in 3 freaky families. It's insane. I invite you to join me in this freaky world of watchmaking. I think the Freak is actually one of the most important watches of the last 2 decades. It was introduced in 2001 during Basel World. This year's Watches and Wonders, I visited Ulysse Nardin and then I had the chance to try the very first Freak, the Freak 1 from 2001 in gold. It looks stunning. Can you imagine seeing this in 2001? When there was no MBNF, no Uhrwerk, no HYT. This is actually the very first, let's call it, Nouvelle Horlogerie watch. It is a watch with no hands, no crown, and no dial. And you can still tell the time. How can you tell the time? Because the movement acts as the hands. Dr. Ulysse Nardin, the inventor of this freakish family, was actually working as a clockmaker in the Vatican. He encountered and repaired a lot of these dual direct escapements made by Monsieur Breguet. And then he decided to also use that dual direct escapement in the Freak. But to make that work properly, he used silicon. And this is the first time ever in the watchmaking industry that a wristwatch was outfitted with silicon parts. So this watch stems from ancient horology, uses most modern technologies, and in the latest ones there's also a material called diamond sil, which is like an evolutionary version of a silicium that's patented by Ulysse Nardin. Yes, this watch looks futuristic, but in a way, it also stays very close to the watchmaking traditions. It all starts with the mainspring barrel that rotates once every 12 hours. So it is also responsible for displaying the hours. What Dr. Ulysse Nardin then did is then he connected the barrel to the center pinion that drives the bridge, featuring the gear train, the escapement, the hairspring and the balance around the perimeter of the case flange once every hour. That is the minutes hand. Just look how the little end of the bridge connects to the teeth on the outer flange. How does the Freak display the hour? The mainspring barrel rotates every 12 hours. The hour hand marker is in fact a moving bridge, and the bridge keeps the hour wheel harbor in place, and it's mounted on the barrel and fixed against a rack on the periphery on the inside of the case. The hour wheel also drives the central pinion, which makes the carousel tourbillon make 1 full rotation every minute using a second peripheral rack. Uxlin's system looks mesmerizing and is absolutely fascinating to see, but one of the advantages is also that this system also allows a construction dispensing the crown and creating a turning case back to wind the mainspring. Please meet the Freak family. It's a 3-part Freak family. That sounds very modern, right? Okay, let's start with the Freak X. It's a Freak with a crown. So is it a real Freak? The principles are basically the same. There's still no dial, there's still no hands, but the crown does make it easier to operate, and it also keeps the price down. The titanium version I'm wearing is $27,500. The OPS version, OPS stands for operation because it has a carbon fiber composite camouflage green case, is $35,000. So this is the simplest, less costly version of all Freaks you see here, but the movement inside has the most components. The automatic caliber UN320 has 405 components, and they're inside a 43mm case. It has a central traditional rotor. These ones have a non-traditional rotor. This is the Freak 1 Navy Blue. And this is the very latest Freak out there, the middle child. And this comes in a 44mm black PVD titanium case with a forged carbonium bezel. And of course, because this is a crownless Freak, you can use the bezel, and that is one of the most wondrous things. The automatic winding system is also something special, and it's called Grinder. It's a 4-arm design, and it works with even the slightest movement of the wearer. It's very efficient, and that's a good thing because there's 90 hours of power reserve, which is a lot. This is the UN240. This is a 229 component movement. This is the direct evolution of the very first Freak. What I admire about that first Freak, it is complicated, but it's also quite simple. The complexity is the idea to do it. The execution is also, of course, very craftful, exquisitely done and impressive. But in essence, this is a simple watch. The middle child is a little bit more costly, as you would expect. This newest version is $66,800. There's also a more soigné version, a luxury version that stays even closer to the original Freak one. This one is $71,000. These are the most complicated Freaks. The Freak S. Let's start with the one I personally like most, the Freak S Nomad. First of all, it's a completely haute horlogerie finished watch. You can also see there are 2 balance wheels instead of 1. So there's a differential in between, so this is going to be more complicated. Why 2 balance wheels? Well, you don't ask why in haute horlogerie. It's because it's $148,300 US. But look at that guilloche on the dial, which is actually the movement. It is absolutely stunning. It's mesmerizing. This is Nouvelle Haute Horlogerie at its very finest. And there is also a gold model. More costly? No. This is just $137,000 US. I've introduced you to a whole family of Freaks. Which is your favorite Freak? You have to maybe get in touch with your inner Freak and find out what kind of Freak you are. And you are a Freak, but otherwise you wouldn't be watching this. The Freak is the original Nouvelle Horlogerie watch. This watch deserves the utmost respect. It started something and it continues to be very important for independent thinking, avant-garde watchmaking. You wear a piece of modern watchmaking history. This is the OG. This is where it all started for Nouvelle complicated high-end horlogerie. And we can't put enough emphasis on that. If you enjoyed this, think about what kind of Freak you are and leave that in the comments. And if you also liked what you saw, then like, subscribe, and come back.
Hey!